What happened? When did it all go wrong? And how is it that the more and more I hear about both Ben and Jen, the more and more unlikable they get? Hey guys, it's IQ, and today we have a lot to discuss. Now you may be wondering, why is this video only picking on Ben? Because Jen is much worse. Listen, I get it. If it feels like I'm focusing more on Ben, that's because I am. And because it's needed. Jennifer is already getting her due. It's all over the place, the news, the social media, public opinion. You guys have covered that pretty damn well. Most people think, and rightfully so, that it was a horrible idea for them to shove down everyone's throat their quote-unquote amazing love story, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And they were married for what, like all of a year? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I get real scared, though, when all that about the Grammys and he looked on it. It's like, oh my God, what's happening?
Nothing. He was like, it's like I've become the symbol of the beleaguered man.
Like it feels too much like you're trying to prove something instead of just living it. Every other photograph is the 2 of you kissing, the 2 of you hugging.
I guess you should have listened to your girl, but I digress. And if you want, we can cover all of Jennifer's insane nonsense over the years in another video, but for today, we're focusing on the other half of Bennifer, who I'm surprised is kind of walking away from this scot-free and unscathed, but not today and not here. His behavior has been largely excused, he's largely been felt sorry for, and largely able to somehow escape accountability for his side of this absolute shit show. So I found some social media comments that pretty much nailed it. Someone commented, "These two should stay together and not inflict themselves on another 2 individuals. I have a feeling that as people, they may both be unbearable, so why make 2 more people unhappy?" And another person wrote, "The only time we see Ben smiling happy is when he is with Matt. Their friendship has lasted for decades longer than any of Ben's romances." That is so true. And speaking of his failed romances, and the stories I have to tell you about him, we're going to get to that in a second, because we are going all the way back to the beginning to go over all of his crappy behavior, because there is just no way in hell that this latest fiasco can be blamed all on J-Lo. Now, I'm sure Ben is an excellent father. That's what I've seen. He's probably a great friend, fine. But in several areas of his life, there is one thing that remains constant. And it's something that pretty much all of the women in his life have in common. In Ben Affleck's romantic relationships with women, he has always been kind of a complete jerk. This video was graciously sponsored by Aura. They are the leading identity theft protection service, and honestly, you guys, the information I'm about to tell you couldn't have come at a better time.
Massive AT&T data breach.
Law enforcement officials are currently investigating a massive data breach. Your data may be vulnerable.
Did you know that more than 2,200 cyber attacks occur every single day? And have you seen the most recent massive data breach that affected 2.9 billion records for Americans? So what does this mean for you? It is possible that at this very moment, your data has been compromised. So how can you guys protect yourselves? Look no further than Aura. With a subscription of Aura, you get an all-in-one protection suite. Identity protection monitoring with Experian Credit Lock from the 3 credit bureaus, a VPN, antivirus features, and a password manager. And on top of that, you also get a family plan with parental controls for your kids so that they're safe online and with online gaming. Aura is just a better price, it's a better service, and it's better security all in one. For a 2-week free trial, visit aura.com/IQ, or you can click the link in the description.
The only person who Ben Affleck hasn't been unfaithful to. Please welcome Matt Damon.
So as we know, the predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And before we go down the trip down memory lane with Bennifer, first, I need to take you down a different lane with Ben's first high-profile romance. This happened when he was first ushered into the Hollywood scene when Ben and his best friend, Matt Damon, wrote and acted in a little unknown movie at the time called Good Will Hunting. The year was 1997, and it was an impressively life-changing year for Ben and Matt. They were instantly coined the newest Hollywood sweethearts with their overnight success. Ben was the youngest writer to ever win an Oscar for screenwriting, and they were the it duo.
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are childhood friends. They appeared together in Chasing Amy and Good Will Hunting.
We're just really two young guys who were fortunate enough to be involved with a lot of great people.
They were completely unstoppable. They were, of course, invited to every Hollywood party, which naturally they chose to attend. And at one of those Hollywood invites would come in the year 1997. And it was at a dinner party hosted by the now disgraced, horrendous Harvey Weinstein. And it was on that night that Ben was first introduced to his future girlfriend, Gwyneth Paltrow. Now, we need to stop right here because I need to give you an important backstory that is going to be relevant in a bit. By the time Ben met Gwyneth, she had just ended her engagement to Brad Pitt, and Gwen had blamed the split with Brad on herself, saying, quote, "I think I was a kid and I wasn't ready. He was too good for me. I honestly do think I was too young and I didn't know what I was doing." I mean, that is quite a mature and unselfish retrospect to have. Here's a woman that can take accountability for her own actions, her own faults, and not just blame the other party. So keep a mental note of that. For now, let's get back to the party where Ben and Gwen met. Although they hit it off that first day, they actually didn't solidify their relationship and make it serious until they were both cast in the movie Shakespeare in Love. And you're gonna see a theme here with Ben. He seems to fall in love with his leading ladies in films. So anyway, by 1998, Ben and Gwen were officially an item, and they made their first official public appearance as a couple on the red carpet at the Golden Globes. Their relationship was rather rocky, though. In fact, for the next 2 years, they would make up and break up and make up and break up constantly. And during one of their on and off sessions, they were drawn back to each other, and that's when they were cast in the movie Bounce. And the reconciliation rumors started to swirl again. And they secretly dated for another year after being spotted kissing in Paris by the paparazzi. But by the following year, in October of 2000, they had officially broke up. So that was about a 2-year relationship. Let me ask you, do you think that with this breakup, Gwen once again took accountability and blame for the relationship? You know how maybe just like Brad, Ben was too good for her? Not a chance in hell. In fact, let me show you some of her introspection.
Brad or Ben?
Brad.
No. I didn't even ask a question.
Oh, I thought that was the question.
I think that was kind of revealing. Even though Gwen played it safe, and now, of course, she's politically correct when answering questions about Ben, how they're amicable and yada, 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 but that is not exactly how it happened, not when they broke up years ago. See, Gwen had divulged a few details of her relationship with Ben right after they broke up. And while Ben had made her laugh more than Brad, she said that she fought a lot more with Ben. And she also revealed on Howard Stern that her relationship with Ben was so much more challenging. She claimed that Ben was not ready to be in a relationship with her at the time. And to be honest, when is he ever ready to be in a relationship? It seems like all of the women in his life say that he's challenging, he's hard to get along with, hard to deal with. You're gonna see that in this video. You are gonna see the patterns soon enough. Anyway, Gwen's parents, who loved Brad, by the way, were not the biggest fans of Ben either. She was quoted as saying, "I think my parents appreciated how he's super intelligent and he's really talented and funny, but he was not in a good place in his life to have a girlfriend. I think they were okay with the two of us not being together." And if you know what that means, it's basically the politically correct and nice way of saying basically code for her parents being elated that Ben was out of her life. But wait, there's more, because that was Gwen giving her answer after years of reflection. But at the time of their immediate split, things went down a little differently. She was asked in an interview right after the breakup how she knew not to marry Ben, and she admitted that she believed with certain boyfriends, women attempt to heal certain wrongs in their childhood, and she added that Ben was very much that lesson for her. And there was a tit for tat because Ben also participated in the squabble of words when he made an appearance on Good Morning America and said that Gwen's ideal man would be someone like her dad. Well, we already know that her parents weren't fond of him, so I'm quite sure that was a dig. And alas, the final retort came from Gwen, who whipped back, Ben's perfect woman would be any sort of stripper at Scores. Anyone that serves cold beer in a bikini. Damn. And it wasn't just her family that seemed not to like Ben, but also some of her friends. She admitted in 2016, while she was dating Ben, she co-hosted an event dinner with her friend and celebrity chef, Mario Batali. And he supposedly would tease her about Ben. He liked Brad, she said, but he didn't like Ben too much. That just means he didn't like Ben, period. Huh. I wonder why. Now, I want to go back to the first quote you saw at the beginning of the video from his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, who stated, "He's just a complicated guy. When his sun shines on you, you feel it. But when the sun is shining elsewhere, it's cold. He can cast quite a shadow." Well, you're going to be seeing a lot of Ben's big-ass shadow in this video and over many of the women in his life. It's like when he's on, but man, when he's like in a mood or a bad mood, I bet you everyone in the house feels it. You know what I mean? Okay, before we get into the most significant women in his life, by duration only, I mean, we're going to skip around for a minute because now it's time to give an honorable mention to his relationship with Ana de Armas. There's not much made of their relationship because it did only last a year, but of course they are saying publicly that things ended amicably, that she didn't want to live in LA longer, and that's why they called it quits. But I call BS, and you're going to see why. I think that this is another relationship that went from roses to rainbows and into his shadowlands pretty damn quickly. So let's discuss that. Once again, Ben found romance in real life with his on-screen love interest, Ana de Armas, when they were cast together in the movie Deepwater. And that's a movie about a wealthy husband who allows his wife to have open affairs and it all goes to hell. And it was during this filming of the movie that Ben and Ana met and apparently fell in love. Within months, they were filmed together in public, and they also made appearances kissing in a music video along with other couples, showing affection on Anna's Instagram account. And they were basically shown out and about everywhere, all loved up with each other. And 4 months later, they celebrated Anna's 32nd birthday. And Ben was filming, I can only presume, because this is his voice in the background of her hitting her piñata.
Más. Más. A little bit. Más. Más.
Things started to get serious pretty quickly because Ben introduced his kids to Ana and they all started hanging out together quite often. And as you know, I don't think anyone can knock Ben as a father. He seems like a great one. Just not that great of a husband or a boyfriend. Or fiance for that matter. But the fact is, he wanted Ana to be with her and the kids, and it signaled that there was a more serious relationship on the horizon. And his kids would joke and laugh and played with Ana outside of their home and teased her with this big life-size cutout of what I presume is her from a movie. And as a joke, the kids left it outside. The whole family looked really happy. She was getting along with the kids. All was looking well. So well, in fact, that within a year, they decided to move in together. Ana took the plunge and she placed her Venice property, her Venice, California property, on the market and moved into Ben's home in December of 2020. Now, let's think about this for a second. That's a big step to think, oh my gosh, I'm ready to move. So she moved from Venice to LA, okay? Selling her home. That's obviously a big deal. That's obviously something that she's thought about and said, I am ready to make the next step, right? We're gonna combine homes and I'm gonna live with a man that basically has joint custody of his children and we're gonna be one big family. And I'm basically gonna be a quasi stepmom as well. It was something that she had to have seriously considered. Things must have been getting super serious for both of them to take a step like that. And here is the interesting part. Here comes the shadows, y'all. Because no less than a month later, 1 month after she moved in with Ben, there were reports that this new arrangement apparently caused a shift in their dynamic. Guess what that shift was? Anna broke up with Ben. 4 weeks after moving into his house, she broke up and moved to New York. The most interesting part is that she broke up with him because we know historically, Ben's usually the one to end the relationships. And reportedly, Ben was devastated that she left. But of course, we're supposed to believe in that PC statement that Anna just didn't want to live in LA anymore and that it was completely mutual and amicable, you guys. Like, it just, why would she want to live in LA? Even though she just sold her house and moved into LA, even though that's LA is where she didn't want to be. Is this making sense? All right, so first and foremost, let me ask you this. Speaking of amicable, does this seem amicable? Listen, Ben is a smart man. He knows how the game works. He knows how the PR game works and how it would look. The message here is she's trash, she's garbage, she's gone. I don't give a crap about her. That's what I see. Because he could have easily had his kids or himself or paid one of his nannies or assistants that he likes to have affairs with, allegedly, to cut up the life-size cutout into like small pieces, put it in a, black garbage bag that no one would see, dump it out. No, it was out in the public, and in my opinion, this message was loud and clear. And according to other reports, Anna broke it off, and their relationship, once again, here we go, was complicated. Well, I'm telling you, it sure sounds like it. I can't even imagine how things could change so drastically in just a few weeks that she had to hightail it the hell out of there ASAP. Maybe Anna will spill the beans at some point in the future. But for now, before we get into Jennifer Lopez, we got to talk about the other Jennifer in his life, Jennifer Garner, who, believe it or not, probably, honestly, he gives her more respect because she's the mother of his children. I think he has the most respect for her. And that's still not saying much, and you're going to see why in a second. Fun fact, did you know that Ben and Jen Garner started filming the movie Daredevil together while Ben was engaged to Jennifer Lopez? Yes. Somewhere along the lines, Ben ended his engagement with J-Lo. We'll get into that next. And Ben admitted that he actually fell in love on the set of Daredevil with Jennifer Garner. And here's what he said. That's where I found my wife. We met on Pearl Harbor, which people hate, but we fell in love on Daredevil. So to give him the benefit of the doubt, if, and I say this with a big if, Ben did this honorably, it means that he decided to break things off with J-Lo without any influence or feelings towards Jennifer Garner until he ended his engagement with J-Lo. And then he admirably was emotionally available enough to make room in his heart to fall in love with Jennifer Garner. I mean, personally, I'm calling BS on that, but it's possible. Not probable, but possible, in my honest opinion. So to give kudos where kudos is due, this is the one relationship that lasted the longest for Ben. I mean, 10 years married in Hollywood is probably like being married 30 years anywhere else. So kudos to them. But probably a huge part of them staying together was because Jennifer Garner seemed like an absolute saint to be with a man that seems super moody and just complicated all the time. I'm sorry. What it seems like she had to put up with this man, is just admirable in the way that she handled it. There were reports, by the way, that Ben cheated on Jen with their nanny, although he has adamantly denied this. He said that they strictly had a working relationship only, and that's it. So Ben being a liar? I mean, never, right? Just because Ben denied it, that has to be true, right? Well, the nanny never confirmed or denied this affair, but her friend reportedly talked to a lot of people in the media, stating that she told them that she was in love with him, that they had an affair that started the year prior in the spring, meaning that's when he was still married, and that they would often meet at the Hotel Bel Air, and that this affair had been going on for a long time. Now, the friend allegedly was shown photos from her friend, the nanny, sitting on Ben's lap, and the two of them kissing. And another friend corroborated that was in her circle, seemed to confirm that this nanny had told them that the two were intimate as well. But one of the most surprising aspects was what Jennifer Garner said about the situation, which in so many words basically kind of confirmed, without saying the words, that foul play was involved. The Mirror went on to infer that Jennifer basically confirmed Ben's affair with the nanny. And here's why. During an interview Jen gave after the affair rumors came out and after she was separated from Ben, she clarified that she had been separated for months before he was linked to the nanny. She said, "Let me just tell you something. We've been separated for months before I heard about the nanny. She had nothing to do with our decision to divorce. She was not a part of the equation. Bad judgment? Yes. It's not great for your kids for a nanny to disappear from their lives. I have had to have conversations with my children about the meaning of scandal." Well, if we're going to take Ben's word as gospel, what would be scandalous about a working relationship with a nanny? And why would a nanny who just has a platonic working relationship with their employer, why would they have to disappear from their lives if nothing had happened? Riddle me that. And there's an honorable mention that has to go to Ben basically putting his foot in his mouth, which he would later retract and say that it was taken out of context during a very vulnerable moment that he had during an interview, that he had the utmost respect for his wife or ex-wife. But what was said, and I believe that there is truth to it. During an interview with Howard Stern, Ben talked about his struggles with alcohol, and he said, "I'd probably still be drinking. It's part of why I started drinking, because I was trapped." Okay, trapped as in trapped inside his marriage to Jennifer Garner? I'm sure things weren't all roses for her either. And later on in the interview, he added, "I was like, I can't leave because of my kids, but I'm not happy. What do I do? What I did was drink a bottle of scotch and fall asleep on the couch, which turned out to not be the solution." You know what? Just what every woman and mother wants to hear. Good job, Ben. Intentional or not, taken out of context or not, just wonderful. Now let's talk about the bane of his existence, the woman who will forever be synonymous with Ben Affleck, the power duo, the creation of Bennifer itself, Ben and Jen. This man just can't escape the beast that he helped to create. Bennifer will forever be tied to both of them. And you know what? There is too much to cover in this video, so thumbs up the video and let me know in the comment section if you want a complete deep dive on just these two alone, because their relationship lore is just insane. That's where I can really focus on both of their insanity, but like I said at the top of the video, right now we are focusing on Ben's jerkiness. So here's why I want to go into the reasons that I personally cannot solely blame J-Lo for the madness that's happening right now. I mean, 50-50 blame? I can't even say that necessarily. I think she has more than 50% blame. But there's no way in hell that this Bennifer 2.0 circus is 100% her fault. No way in hell. So let's go over the mistakes that I blame and fault Ben for, And it's these little building blocks that add up over time into this massive snowball that are directly correlated to him and his actions, okay? So for this video, we're just gonna go over Ben's horrible decision-making for Bennifer 2.0, okay? So here was his first date. We're gonna go into strike one. Ben is the one that pursued J-Lo. Right off the heels of J-Lo and Alex Rodriguez breaking up. Okay, this was right after that breakup, right after Ben throwing Ana de Armas into the literal trash. Ben aggressively pursued J-Lo. Supposedly, in February of 2021, Ben took a flirty turn and began to pursue Jen and made it very clear that he wanted a relationship. He wanted something more than friendship. Ben, why have you heard of the term rebound? Okay, you're on the rebound, she is on the rebound. Don't you think it's time that you guys just spend some time apart, grow solo, learn to become a better person by yourself before you move on to the next thing? So that is strike one. None of this would have happened if he didn't start pursuing her, okay? Strike two. Is Ben giving J-Lo this false hope that no matter the storm, no matter how bad the depths of their relationship gets, no matter the difficulties, no matter how high the mountain is, how far the river is and wide, he was not going to split and run this time. He may have done it before with the first Bennifer, but Bennifer 2.0, he was here to stay. This second chance was going to be there together forever. In fact, when he was romancing and pursuing her the second time, Jen admitted that he would end all of his emails with a very important phrase. She said, that's how he would sign his emails when we started talking again. Like, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. And guess what he had engraved on her engagement ring? The words, I kid you not, on her engagement ring inside, not going anywhere. What a crock that ended up being, right? No wonder she felt safe enough to take all of these weird ass risks. Foolish, I know. We could talk about her all day in another video, but about their enduring love, all of these risks, she kind of got the green light, okay? There is no way that this woman thought that she would have so much egg on her face at the end of the day. But wait, there's more. Here comes strike three. And this is an important one because we've all heard the reports that Ben hates when his private life is out in the public. He hates it. And apparently, it was a huge bone of contention in the reason for this divorce and breakup the second time. But to be fair, Ben was giving off these hot and cold vibes the entire time. Ben, either hate it 100% or don't. Either put up with it 100% or don't. And if you're gonna compromise, then you can't resent the outcome of that later, okay? You can't give her mixed signals. So anyway, I have several examples of these mixed signals for you. And one of the most important starts here, because I believe it started this huge downward trajectory of this absolute madness. Now, while things were still going well in their second marriage before there were any reports of any strife, Jennifer was in love and talking about doing an interview working on her new album, This Is Me Now. And she recalled a time when her and Ben initially reunited, okay? So this is after he pursued her and was telling her he's not going anywhere. He talked to her about her earlier album. Now, This Is Me Now was an album pretty much just about her falling in love with Ben. And he called her out for not performing the songs about him on her first album. She said that she told him it was too painful and that it was a survival tactic to store away. But he's encouraging her to perform these songs that are supposedly about their relationship when he wants to keep their relationship private. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? For a man who is so private, who wants to keep their relationship out of the spotlight, why Are you encouraging her to do these things that you hate? AKA sing about your love, talk about your love, dance about your love, act about your love, make anything about your love. What were you thinking? Did this in any way inspire Jennifer to make the second album? Who knows? I'm not going to blame that on Ben. But I know for damn sure it didn't help. Because for a man who doesn't want his personal relationship in the spotlight, they should probably lead by example, right? If you don't want your relationship in the spotlight, then he's not going to do anything like that either, right? Which leads us to strike number 4. If you wanted to keep your relationship out of the spotlight, why? Are you highlighting your relationship and profiting off of it when it benefits you? True, it's not as intrusive, but like just cut it off cold turkey so that she knows, wait a second, this is off limits. Not 20%, not 50%, 100% off limits. Well, Ben highlighted his relationship with Jennifer not once, but twice for his beloved Dunkin' Donut commercials. And I know what you guys are thinking. Wait a second, IQ, that's blasphemous because, listen, that's no way the same as doing an album and a movie and a world tour about their love. I 100% agree. It's not the same. But like I said, if you really want to give someone the hint that you despise this and you want to keep your love life off limits, then keep your love life off limits. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't encourage her to sing old songs about your relationship. Don't push the envelope by monetizing your relationship to the public with your stupid Dunkin' Donut commercials. Do you see what I'm saying? But wait, there's more. Not only did Ben pursue her, then tell her to sing songs about her relationship, then tell her he's not going anywhere, then open the door to publicly monetize their relationship, but he also agreed to helping her work on this documentary and album. And he probably agreed with good intentions. I'm not saying that they were bad. He probably did agree because, like Jennifer Garner said, like when he's in love with you, he tries. When he doesn't, it's cold. So I'm sure he was really trying, even though he hated it and despised it. I'm sure he was trying to make her happy, even though he didn't want to do it. But his grace only extends to how much he is tolerating that person for the moment. At some point, he obviously justified and rationalized to himself why this was okay, right? And you see him do it on the documentary. Here's what he said. Getting back together, I said, listen, one of the things I don't want is a relationship on social media. And then I sort of realized it's not a fair thing to ask. It's sort of like you're going to marry a boat captain and you go, well, I don't like the water, you know? We're just two people with kind of different approaches trying to learn to compromise. So compromise is definitely the word. And really the agreement between two parties. And I get that Ben obviously felt that with this media spectacle, that the compromise had crossed beyond a fair boundary. He felt he was compromising too much. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame him. He probably was. But why not put your foot down before she made a complete public spectacle of herself and her relationship? If you really felt that strongly about it, don't make an appearance on her documentary. And if you're really uncomfortable with it, once you found out that she was sharing your personal love letters, then tell her then, nope, this isn't gonna fly. Take it out of the documentary. I don't want this in here. Or if you felt uncomfortable about the documentary, tell her, like, don't do this album or I'm leaving. Don't do the documentary or I'm splitting. He had chance after chance after chance to pull the plug earlier. This man, who I'm going to say it again, who wasn't going anywhere, could have let her slowly exit the scene with some amount of grace and self-respect left. But when did he pull the plug? Probably at the worst possible moment ever. And I have a theory about that, you guys. And I actually want to know what you think about my theory, which leads us to strike number 6. If none of the other warning signs and the pushing of Ben's boundaries did enough for him to throw in the towel then, what was it that made him completely over the relationship in such a little amount of time. Well, let's go over the timeline, shall we? In December of 2023, that was when we first started to hear reports that Ben and Jen were partnering on a new album and documentary. He was fine with it then. He had no outward or public issues putting her foot down, telling her enough, don't do this, I'm out. This is gonna affect our marriage, don't do it. I have a feeling if he had given her an ultimatum then, she would have done it, just my guess, you guys. But anyway, that was the end of December of 2023, okay? In January of 2024, the trailer for This Is Me Now dropped. And still, no word from Ben.
There is the person who inspired this for me, who has inspired me my whole life. He inspired an album 20 years ago. And I know he hates that I'm doing this right now. He's just like, please shut up. No. And I say no. I say, I love you, and thank you for believing in me and helping me believe in myself and helping me to grow every single day. Thank you for the family that we've created and our children and everything that you do for me. You'll never know what it is to be able to share this lifetime and have you be my love. Thank you.
And in February, this is when I believe things began to change. There were a lot of events in February that I think changed things for good. Because here's what happened. The public started to reject their love story. Eerily reminiscent from the first time that they broke up. The first Bennifer 1.0, is very similar, eerily familiar with Bennifer 2.0. Here's why. In February of 2024, J-Lo released the album and it flopped spectacularly. And in addition to that, the documentary was also released that month and it got panned worldwide. I mean, people just made fun of it, okay? They said it was the worst thing ever. And to add insult to injury, her concert tickets went on sale that same month and the sales were abysmal. Well, guess what happened just 4 weeks later? 1 month later. Ben moved out of the house that he shared with Jennifer and moved near his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, into a $100,000 per month rental. And a week after he moved out, Jennifer made that statement that she needed to cancel her tour and take time off to be with her children, family, and close friends. So it wasn't until the world was making fun of their love, that the world rejected their projects, that all of her projects failed and wasn't received well by the public. I feel like that was something that Ben couldn't stand. That is my interpretation of what happened because that is exactly when he bailed. And like I said, that's not the first time that he did that, okay? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Let's just take their breakup in 2003. Throughout their entire relationship, they were like the Hollywood it couple. Their entire relationship had a media frenzy around them, okay? For like 2 years, the whole 2 years they were together. In interviews, they stated that the attention didn't bother them. They were photographed everywhere. They did PR together everywhere. And even when they were interviewed about their upcoming marriage, they said they knew what to expect. They knew that there was an interest in the public and it didn't really bother them, okay? But guess what? All of a sudden, after Geely was released, guess when it was released, guys? August of 2003. Okay, yes, it was universally panned as one of the worst movies ever made. Doesn't that sound kind of familiar with what happened this year with Bennifer 2.0? And then all of a sudden, somehow, the report was that the media attention was too much and they had to call off the wedding. They called off a wedding 1 month later. 1 month after Geely was released and universally panned. The wedding was off. Ben ran. Let's just go over it again. August 2003, Geely was released, universally panned. 4 weeks later, wedding was off. Can we just go back? Let's go back to the dates again. Ben at least gave her 2 months this time, not 1 month. So in February, the album was released. It was panned, just like how they were making fun of Geely back in 2003, is how they made fun of this whole debacle in 2024. So he gave her more than a month. He gave her 2. He gave her 2, and then he moved out. This is a pattern, you guys. This is a pattern. In my opinion, I truly believe Ben doesn't like to be the laughingstock, doesn't like to be made fun of with his relationships. And guess what? Who would? I get it. I get that. But just flat out bailing on a person, like in those 2 moments when you should probably stick together. I don't know. I mean, I know, listen, you helped create that whole monster as well. And you encouraged it. That's all I'm saying. I get that you were probably trying to be nice and appease her, even though you didn't want that to happen, but you are also responsible for this. You gave the green light more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, and it epically failed. Do you know what I would love to know? If the tour had gone glowingly, if her video had done spectacular, if her documentary movie thing was like a big hit, would he be embarrassed? Would he have moved out? That's what I really want to know. That is what I really want to know. Now, listen, as you know, I'm not a fan of J-Lo. She is getting criticized, and rightfully so, all over the media. I'm just not seeing it on Ben's side. So I thought that that's what we should do. Because while I'm no fan of J-Lo, dude, your behavior is pretty damn jerky too. Now, we're not done here. There are so many deep dives on my channel. If you haven't seen them, come on over. I have 2 right here that you will probably like. If not, go to the homepage and we will start our next adventure now.